Hello everyone, and welcome to a nice one-off video for the Four Swords channel. I'm TrevorMan5. Today I am with
your boy Minato Max, the best YouTube boxer of all time.
Obviously, no one's good at boxing like you, Max.
I know. I'm undefeated. I've had a fight, but I'm still undefeated. So
you're undefeated. No, even Kanye West is scared of you.
That guy hasn't gotten back to my emails. I don't know what's up with that.
Same here. Anyway, besides our shady Illuminati doings, today we are doing an episode because as people who have watched the channel for a while now know that we have a little meme going on here in the channel. It's every time someone brings up Crash Bandicoot, I always have to interject with how better Spyro the Dragon is, because
wait, are you talking about Spyro like that thing from Skylanders?
No, I'm talking about Spyro, that thing from Insomniac. Well, I'm talking about Crash Bandicoot, that thing from Spyro that's Australian, from the Skylanders, you know. God, that was just
that time.
God, thank God we had the Insane trilogy to kind of round that out, because that was so terrible hearing Crash talk like what? No, I'm good. But so Max and I decided that we would do a nice little versus video to see to see who is better, why we think who is better. I am, of course, going to be defending Spyro, and Max is going to be defending Crash Bandicoot.
Yes.
This has been the meme video in the making, guys. But let's get to it.
11 episodes in the making.
11 episodes in the making. Ooh. So, without further ado, this is Spyro the Dragon versus Crash Bandicoot. Who is the better PS1 mascot?
Whoa. Why are we not putting Crash Bandicoot at first? Why did you say Spyro first? Let's get some
No.
Crash is obviously coming first. Okay?
No, he's not. I'm introducing the video, so I put my purple boy first, okay? No.
I'm just saying, the remakes came out first. Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy came out before Spyro Reignited Trilogy.
That's because Crash came out before Spyro in general. Don't care. Anyway.
Round 1.
So, round 1 consists of, basically, what is our favorite game? We're going to talk about our favorite game and why we love it so much before we get down into the actual fist boxing, the fisticuffs themselves. Okay, so, Max, since you are the guest, you shall go first.
Alright, so why Crash is better? So the first favorite game of all time for me. So I've not played Crash Bandicoot 3. That's the only Crash Bandicoot game out of the mainline series that I have yet to play. But I'm going to give you some backstory to how I got into the series before telling you my favorite game. So, my grandpa had a PS1 back in the day. He had a PlayStation 1 when PlayStation 3 existed. That's when he went ahead and bought a console, was when he chose the oldest console. But basically, I was introduced to games through the PlayStation 2, and then when I used to go hang out with my grandpa and grandma, I found out he had a PlayStation 1, and we played games like Blasto. A lot of people might not know what that is, but it's a really cool PlayStation 1 game. But one day, after we were done playing the PlayStation 1, I decided to go to Goodwill. It's kind of weird that I ended up going to Goodwill, because this was my first time going there of all time. I never knew a place like this existed. It was a really cool experience. I went to the CDs, just unintentionally. I didn't know they would sell video game stuff anyways, because I mean, if you go to Goodwill now, you'll find just sports titles pretty much.
But then again, PS1 games were back in jewel cases back then, so they could be confused for CDs.
Yeah, and back in the day, you could actually find good games at Goodwill. Now if you go to Goodwill, it's pretty much Badwill if you're looking for games, because everything there is bad now, most of the time.
Oh fucking yeah.
So I was over here at the CDs. I saw PlayStation 1 games, and I was like, whoa, I could get my grandpa a video game for because it was actually his birthday. It was about to be his birthday at the time, and so I saw video games there. They had a lot of PS1 titles, and I didn't know much about the PlayStation 1, but one of the titles that looked really cool to me was a game called Crash Bandicoot. I saw the cover, I was like, wow, this looks really appealing. This looks really fun. So I got my grandpa Crash Bandicoot and Crash Bandicoot 2 for the PS1. They had both of the titles there. They also had Crash Racing, which I kind of regret not picking up because I've yet to play Crash Racing, and I could have played Crash Racing. But anyways, a couple weeks later, I brought that to him. He was like, "Whoa, this is really cool." He never heard of it either. But that same night that I gave it to him, we played the entire first game and second game together. And I gotta be honest, my favorite game, I gotta go with the OG Crash Bandicoot. I mean, that's what started the series. I love the levels in there. I love the design, the music. I mean, I just feel like that was the most fun out of the two I've played. I played Crash 1, 2, and 4. I need to play 3. I have the Insane Trilogy. I'm going to eventually play 3. So my favorite is Crash Bandicoot 1.
Wow. Honestly,
Sorry,
no.
it's what.
No, I'm trying to think because like, that's a really nice story. The fact that you got into it with your because of your grandpa, basically, because introducing you to the PS1, that's very sweet. I like that. Like.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. Huh.
I need to play the Insane Trilogy with him. That'd be fun.
Oh, please do. I think he'll enjoy that.
I don't know. He just likes that old modern console stuff. I don't know if he would like the idea of just seeing Crash Bandicoot like in today's graphics. I don't think he would have the fun appeal of it. Also because the game is like 20 times more difficult.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that was Crash 1 to begin with, though. Crash 1 was difficult to begin with, though. Like 2 and 3 it toned it down a little bit. Like, cause I played Crash Bandicoot 1 on the Insane Trilogy for my Switch. And beat it on my Switch, not my PC yet. But still, like, it was still hard, especially the bridge levels. Jesus, but yeah, Jesus Christ, I rage so much. So I know where your grandfather's coming from, but like he'll only play the originals, like so on PS1.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do the same thing as Max did, and I'm gonna talk about my experience with Spyro before I talk about what my favorite game was. So, when I was a kid, we had a PS1, but I was a baby. But I remember when we got the PS2, actually. And it was backwards compatible with PS1 games. And so we had a bunch of PS1 games and PS2 games. The funny thing is, my first experience with Crash Bandicoot was Wrath of Cortex as a kid. The fourth, technically the now unofficial fourth game. So, but also since the PlayStation 2 was backwards compatible, we had Spyro 3. I don't remember if we had 1 or 2, but we had 3, Year of the Dragon, that came out in 2000, the same year as the PS2. And so I remember playing that, and I still have this distinct memory of just of finding the first egg in Sunrise Spring, and just seeing it hatch and seeing the baby dragon come out. Just like it's such a nice memory because it was in my room too as a kid, hooked up to my TV that I had, like, and it's just a coveted memory. And then Enter the Dragonfly came out, so my parents got us that. We played it. I have no memory of that. All I know is that we had it because I remember years later finding it in my office and being like, what the hell is this? I don't remember this game at all. I now have it for my GameCube, and that game's so broken that I did the glitch to where I didn't have to go through any levels. I just went straight to the boss and I beat Ripto. I mean, it's still fun, but like, Jesus, like the whole story behind Enter the Dragonfly, I would recommend watching because it is a ride. There were people who there's a channel that made a whole documentary about it, and its potential, which is why I advocate for Enter the Dragonfly remake, but like, you know, reinserting all the lost content and stuff like that and shit, and just like, you know, fixing it up to be good. But after that, I hadn't really had any experience with Spyro again until 2018 with the Reignited trilogy, because like between those years though, I did remember it from sometimes. I'm just like, wait, I remember liking a game about a purple dragon. Let me find it. I looked up purple dragon video game character. He was like the first one to pop up, and I found Year of the Dragon. I'm just like, is that the game I played as a kid? It was. But I did finally touch Spyro again after the Reignited trilogy came out, because I'm just like, for some reason I was just getting nostalgic of my childhood again, and I was just like, oh yeah, Crash Bandicoot, now Spyro, yes, Spyro the Dragon, please. Because after hearing the name again, I kind of did watched some videos about the games. I'm like, oh yeah, I love this game. And so what I did was, I actually had a PSP by this point because I got it off eBay. And so what I did was, I bought Year of the Dragon off of the PSP store. And eventually I got 1 and 2 as well, but I didn't really play them. I played Year of the Dragon, and my goal was to beat Year of the Dragon 117% completed before Reignited came out. And I did. I beat it throughout that spring semester of college, and I had so much fun just busting it out when I could and stuff. And it was just, I had so much fun beating it. And then I eventually got a PS1. And then I eventually got Spyro 3. I have 2 copies, actually. I have an open copy, and I have a sealed copy of the Greatest Hits version. Eventually, I got Reignited, though I didn't have a good gaming PC at the time, but I also didn't have I had my gaming PC by this point. I didn't have an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4, so I couldn't play it until it came out for PC and Switch, which is what I got it for. I double dipped, because I always double dip on third-party games that I get for Switch. I always get a PC version, because the PC version will be better. And Spyro 3 was the first thing I played. I beat that thing. Besides classes and homework, all I did was play that game. I beat it, and I was just like, it was so beautiful. Then I went and beat the other 2 as well. And it wasn't until earlier this year I beat Spyro 1 on the original PlayStation 1. I have yet to beat Spyro 2 on the original PlayStation 1, but I have beaten every single original Spyro game. Now, thank God now. On the Reignited. Multiple times, actually. Specifically Spyro 3. Spyro 3, I have 100% completed, 117% completed about 10 times now. If you're going between both the Reignited and the PS1 version. Yeah. There's a reason why Spyro is starting to overtake Pokemon as my favorite franchise of all time. With that being said, I think it's now obvious, Spyro 3 is my favorite Spyro game out of the entire series. I just love it, and this playing on the PS1, while sometimes can be difficult because I'm used to Reignited controls, it's just it still holds up in some sort of ways.
My favorite Spyro game is Skylanders: Spyro's Adventure.
Oh yeah, my favorite Crash Bandicoot game is that mobile one that one guy wouldn't shut up about.
Oh, Crash on the Run.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. Now, moving on to
Round 2.
So round 2 is basically the identity of the games, what we love about them, and why we think these aspects of the games that make up their identity is better than the other. So since Max, you went first last time, I'll go first this time, and then we'll just alternate. So it's Spyro 1. Was actually not with Spyro 1. The entire Spyro trilogy. The identity of those games are just unique. The music is catchy, especially from Spyro 3. Spyro 3 has the catchiest tunes out of the entire trilogy. I remember more from those games than I do Spyro 1. Spyro 1 kind of has some catchy tunes, but they're mostly ambient. Spyro 2 kind of kicks it up a notch, because I can remember some tunes like the Glimmer, like the Gateway to Glimmer theme from 2, which is the first level you go in. But 3 is what I remember the most. I remember Spooky Swamp, Midnight Mountain, Sheila's theme, Bentley's theme too. I also remember Sergeant Bird's theme. I remember a lot more of that soundtrack. That soundtrack I have listened to more than I have the other 2. And it helps that Stuart Copeland, who, if for those guys who don't know, Stuart Copeland was a drummer for a band called The Police. If you don't know who The Police was, ask your parents. They'll know. I promise you they'll know if they grew up in the 70s or 80s. So, because he had a musical background and was already a famous musician, he had the ability to make the music very unique and stuff. Spyro 3, he had help with Ryan Beveridge as a co-composer, but still, Stuart Copeland's music help make the entirety of the mystical and the fantasy atmosphere that Spyro had created throughout the games. It felt like it belonged in those games. And speaking of the fantasy and the mystical identity of the games, the artwork from Insomniac. Insomniac went with that mystical, that fantasy art style throughout all 3 games. You had castles, you had knights, dragons, of course. And this, think of the skyboxes too, how some of them were a nice orange, yellow mix with a little bit of red, and some of them were just a nice pink and purple and stuff, and just as the games progressed, the environments got better. Of course, Spyro 3 being the best ones of the environments and stuff. It's they all had their different identity. I mean, sure, a lot of them did play on the tropes of an ice world, a fire world, an air world, whatever, but a lot of them had a lot of identity that kind of, overtook the ones that were just basic cookie cutter levels. And the hub worlds too. The hub worlds, along with their music, were just they bring so much joy. They all you could tell which one was which. That each one had its own identity, and that each one was separate from the other. They always went so hard on the levels, and especially the hub worlds and their themes. It all just encapsulates. And then in the final touch being the character designs too. The character designs were just, they were some good stuff. A lot of them were repeats, yes, and because it was a 5th generation PS1 game, so they're gonna have to reuse some assets and recolor them and stuff. But still, they still had enough in them to have their own personal identity instead of just being carbon copies. I mean, some of the 3D models were definitely with their movement. I know Tara Croft in Spyro 3, which was basically a parody of Lara Croft, basically used the same model animation as Bianca. But again, it was the 5th generation of consoles, so I'm not surprised. And it was the dawn of 3D gaming, basically. But all of them combined encapsulate to make a unique identity for all 3 games. And all 3 games themselves have their own unique identity. So you can't really get one mixed up with the other. You can't. It's near impossible. Unless you didn't know anything about the games. If you played all 3 games, you'd be able to be yeah, that's Spyro 1. Yeah, that's Spyro 2. Yeah, that's Spyro 3. And they use it all to their advantage. Okay, Max. Identity for Crash.
All right. Well, I'm definitely not going to be able to say anything powerful like you just did, so I'm definitely going to lose on this one. So. But I will say things that I think make Crash's identity. So obviously I didn't know about this existence till years later, because when I played the games, I was a kid. I didn't have access to the internet. I didn't look online. I didn't know anything, pretty much. Obviously now I know about the iconic Crash Bandicoot commercial where he's in the suit, goes to Nintendo. When people talk about Crash Bandicoot, they bring that suit up, and I think that kind of identifies with the character now.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, I feel like every time Crash is talked about, it's either they first bring up that, or I feel like just the first thing that gets brought up is the costume. And that costume, that whole commercial is really funny. And if Crash was to get in Smash, that rhymed. That wasn't intentional. They're obviously gonna do something with that costume in the trailer. They're gonna somehow do something with that costume, because that costume is so iconic for so many reasons through the Crash Bandicoot cycle. In terms of music, so I really do like the soundtrack. One of my favorite songs with Crash Bandicoot was Temple Ruins from the first game. Right. I really like that. That's just, and also Insanity Beach, that's an iconic theme right there. In terms of other stuff with the art, all of that, I can't really say much for that. But to me, the music, the costume, those 2 things combined, other than gameplay, which we're going to talk about later.
Oh yeah.
I think identify Crash, especially that costume.
Oh yeah.
Because without that costume, I don't know if Crash Bandicoot would be as popular as it is now. That might be a hot take, but I feel like every time Crash Bandicoot's brought up, it's either with the costume or Smash Bros, or just people that don't play the games, they just know about the costume. That makes sense.
Oh yeah, no, that definitely makes sense though. Yeah, no, that commercial though was iconic. Basically, Sony being like, "Listen, Nintendo, you screwed us over, so we're gonna fucking make you look terrible."
Yeah, and that's actually for even if you do more research, that commercial is so like wow because of the leaked models of the Nintendo PlayStation thing that they were working on years ago. That
Oh yeah.
I forgot why it didn't happen, but it's just kind of funny and cool how they just stood up to them like that.
I mean, because Sony helped Nintendo with the SNES, making the sound chip for them. And then when they were like, "Oh, we're gonna have a lot of money coming in because of the gaming," and Nintendo's like, "Nah, screw you. We're going against Philips, your rival when it comes to CDs." Sony's like, "That's very disrespectful in Japan," so they took it very personally. So of course they're gonna be like, "Fuck you."
So crazy that we almost got something like that. And I wonder if Nintendo regrets that decision, since PlayStation is rivals to Nintendo now, which is probably at the time Nintendo really didn't think would ever happen.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like I think Nintendo somewhat kind of regrets making Sony, because now Sony not only has topped them, but has also just dominated the gaming industry. Though right now they're kind of in some hot water with their current decisions and shit.
Yeah, director's cuts of every game in existence.
Yeah.
Sorry, bad joke.
No, it's okay. It's okay because and then they're gonna charge you for upgrading too. Like no matter what you do, you're gonna have to pay for an upgrade for them.
So that is all on mine when it comes to the identity of the character. Like I said, wasn't that great compared to yours?
That's because I'm very passionate about Spyro. The funny thing is actually with Crash though, I have not played 2 or 3. I mean, I have played 2 and 3 a little bit, but I haven't beat them. I've only beaten Crash 1 in its entirety. So, but like I've seen enough videos and know enough from people to like kind of get an idea. So guys, moving on to the next round.
Round 3.
The next round is going to be a meaty one, at least from my part. I'm pretty sure it's about gameplay. Like, what about the gameplay for these 2 games? Does it really connect with us? And in what ways do we think is it better than than our opponents, basically? So Max, since I went first last time, you're gonna go first this time.
All right. So in terms of Crash Bandicoot's gameplay, for me as a kid, it was actually the first platformer game I believe I ever played. A 3D platformer, which I didn't know those things kind of existed. I didn't know, because the games that I played on my PlayStation 2, I played like your Ultimate Alliance, I played your Nickelodeon games. I didn't know platformers existed, because while I am a mega Nintendo fanboy now, I started with PlayStation 2. So playing this introduced me into a lot of things. One being the gameplay of Crash Bandicoot, which is a 3D platformer. I really enjoy this game. It might be my favorite platformer of all time because of its introducing me to that type of style of gameplay. And I think that gameplay is pretty iconic. Now, I know this wasn't the first platformer, but I might be wrong. It was one of the first 3D ones, like how they perspected it in like PS1 graphics, how they did it. And so I think that is pretty important to games nowadays with, how they did the game. And I mean, I don't know much of Spyro's gameplay, but I'm sure both of these games took ideas from each other for when they made sequels to their own thing. So, together their gameplay probably made something great together and helped each other out.
Oh yeah, no, they did, because since both Insomniac and Naughty Dog were both under Universal for making these games, their offices were near each other, so they got along and they kind of traded code and stuff and ideas and stuff, so they were best friends.
Yeah, that's my stance on the gameplay.
I can tell you right now, Crash's gameplay throughout the games kind of did evolve, because Crash 1 was mostly just like kind of like a linear 3D platform where you get to the end of the level and then you get to the bosses and the final boss and stuff, Right. Crash 2 and 3 focused more on a collectible aspect, though you still had to get to the final boss, but like you got the bad ending if you didn't get all the gems, and I think the time relics, I could be wrong, I'm pretty sure it's all the gems at least, and some of them were hidden, like in Crash 2, the first level. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the first level. If like to get the secret gem, you can't hit any of the enemies. You have to dodge them all. You have to dodge them all.
This is true.
So they had to take on the collectible aspect. And the time trials were introduced into Crash 2. And with the Insane Trilogy, they introduced them in the Crash 1, which was kind of bad because Crash 1 wasn't meant to be speed ran. It was meant you had to take your time. Mm-hmm. So the thing I think Spyro does better is that from day one, it was based in a 3D platforming collectathon route, because the goal of the game is to not only just beat like the final boss, like Spyro 1 is Nasty Nork, but you also have to collect everything to get to the little secret like final area, whatever, that doesn't really have a boss battle, well, except for Spyro 3, but it still has some nice rewards and stuff. Like if you 100% complete Spyro 1, you get to go Nasty's loot. You get to collect all the rest of the gems that you need and stuff, and then you get a nice little cutscene and stuff. Which collectathons are not known for having great rewards, because for the people who like me who like to beat them 100%, it's more about the journey, like than the actual reward. Like Super Mario Sunshine, that reward is terrible, but the journey was fun, a little painful but fun. And as the games went on, like Insomniac was able to build off them by adding more stuff. Like in Spyro 2, they added more moves to Spyro. Like they added a nice little hover at the end of his glide, because if you press X at the end of a nice long hover, he'll not X glide, I should say. He'll hover for a little bit to kind of get a little extra, not just distance but height, to make sure you land a platform. But also we got the head bash too. You can also swim now too, because in Spyro 1, if you touch water, you get hurt. But in Spyro 2 and 3, if you touch water, you'll be able to swim in it. Spyro 3 though did the better thing by having all these moves unlocked and not doing like a Metroid Prime sort of thing where you have to relearn all the moves. Like they were just unlocked from the beginning, thank God. In Spyro 3 added the playable characters. And the playable characters, a lot of people don't like them. I do, because they're 5 playable characters that have distinct gameplay from each other. Sheila is the closest to Spyro, but still different enough to where it's not monotonous and doesn't get boring. Sergeant Bird basically is flying with missiles and stuff, so you gotta hover and like keep off the ground. Bentley is slow but strong. He has a club, so you can bash some things that Spyro couldn't bash on his own without some sort of like rocket help, whatever. Agent 9 is basically a first-person shooter that in the original Spyro 3 was not controlled well, but Reignited was controlled better. But the collectathon aspect, that being the main focus point of the games, of these 3 games, of Spyro and technically in general, like for a lot of collectathon games, you're not really incentivized to collect everything, but in these games you are, just by the landscapes and the environments you're in, because the platforming in these games are very good. And the platforming, you might be on top of a ledge, you might see something sparkling in the distance, because the games were programmed to have, like, even if you can't see the gems, you'll see a little sparkle in the distance to tell you, hey, there's a gem over there. And so you might think, hey, maybe if I glide down there, I'll be able to reach it. You can, but if you try to get through it through any other sort of means, it's blocked off. You can't jump that high, so you gotta go from a high distance. Or you gotta make a tricky jump, a tricky glide, and have a leap of faith, basically, to get to a secret area that will reward you. So Spyro basically has a sense of accomplishment, not just based off finding everything, but also taking those leaps of faith and being smart enough to realize, hey, this is kind of like out of nowhere, this little platform, whatever, out of nowhere, so there must be something that I have to do. You find out what it is, boom, you get a reward. So the collectathon aspect of these games, being the core roots, are just filled like with incentives to discover and complete the games. It's fueled by the platforming. It's fueled by the layout of the areas. It's just Insomniac working at the base just to make it fun. Because Insomniac, when they were developing Spyro 1, they played a lot of Mario 64. And Mario 64, what they called, had the toy factor. You know, that playability factor that would keep people coming back. And so Spyro 1, 2, and 3 were basically inspired off of Mario 64 and how fun that was. Just to run around in. So that adds to the gameplay as well, just being able to the toy factor, making it engaging to do all this stuff, and it's more. I want to say it's more defined than Crashes, because Crashes with Naughty Dog, Crashes kind of had to evolve game by game, but try to figure out what it wanted to be. Spyro knew what it wanted to be from the start. I think that's why Spyro has an upper edge against Crash, because it knew what it wanted to be from the start. It took what the base formula did from the start, and instead of just trying to add brand new aspects to it, like Crash did with the collecting aspect, it just stuck to his guns and expanded upon what it already had, just trying to make the gameplay more fun and not stale.
That is a better response than what I said. Well, I think Spyro's winning.
Yeah, I think besides my stuttering, I think I'm able to like get these points out, at least hopefully good, and at least somewhat coherent.
Perfect, dude. Perfect.
Okay, good. So guys, moving on to
Final round.
So this is gonna be our final thoughts and arguments. So, Max, I went first last time. You go.
Final thoughts are, weirdly enough, doing this video has made me like Crash more, because I'm remembering more things of, those memories with my grandpa, because I've never had a chance to actually talk about how I got into the Crash Bandicoot series. Some people know I played it with my grandpa, but I never went into full detail like I did today. So, talking about this, I think I really like Crash Bandicoot a lot more than I realize now. In terms of arguments, I really don't have any arguments. I think we both made great cases here today.
Yeah.
And so, at the end of the day, they both are great. They both have their own path. And at the end of the day, I still think Crash is better. But, if we're talking from a versus route, they're their own things, their own original things, their own paths. And they respect each other,
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why they both were pseudo mascots for the PS1, since the PS1 didn't have one definitive mascot.
Yeah.
So, my final thoughts are, like, it's always fun to talk about these games, because I love both these franchises, but I've played Spyro more. Like, I've always gone back to Spyro more than I have Crash, because Crash, while being fun, Spyro has always hit it home for me better, because just playing it as a kid on the PS2, and it's a game I shared with my sister, because my sister was the one to play it first. So it's because of her that I got into this franchise, and I just hold dear childhood memories with it, and it's just, for me, it feeds into that collecting achievement aspect of like competitive. I don't know about competitive, but achievement hunter aspect that I have in myself, where like, oh, I want to complete everything in this game, and since that's this game's objective, I don't have to go out my way for something really stupid, like a really stupid achievement, like in some games you have to. So like, it just feeds that, and just the collecting thing, because I love collecting things. I mean, I have a Game Boy collection, I have a small Switch collection stuff, I have a small gaming console collection. So it's like, it's nice to collect things and get a reward for it, even if the reward isn't that fucking great. Like, it's still nice to get a reward nonetheless. And so, and like, any arguments I have is just that I think I still think Spyro's better, of course, but I think it basically built off what Crash did, especially because Naughty Dog and Insomniac were kind of sharing ideas and codes and stuff. I mean, hell, the design for both of these characters came from the same artist, Charles Zembillis. Insomniac and Naughty Dog both commissioned him to make designs for the character, for these characters. So they share a lot of DNA. It's just, I think Spyro gave it a more fun, casual aspect to it, that if you wanted to go hardcore you can, but if you don't, then that's fine. Well, Crash, I think Crash, when it got down to like Crash 3, was more of like, oh, if you want to actually get the good ending, you're gonna have to put a lot more effort. And even though gaming back then was more of a niche hobby, because not a lot of people gamed compared to now, still though, it's for some people, they don't really want to do that, like, because 3D platformers aren't their thing. So adding that collecting aspect to it, and making it hard as it was for Crash, because collecting in Crash is harder than it is in Spyro. So adding that, for a lot of people, it was just a turn off. Like, oh, I beat the game. Oh, I got a bad ending. I don't care. I mean, I beat Wrath of Cortex on my GameCube. I haven't touched it in years. I have not gotten everything in that game to get the good ending. I still have the bad ending, but I don't feel like touching it because I'm like, I don't really want to put in the effort. Like I want the good ending. I'll just look it up online. But with Spyro, I feel compelled to because it's fun. It's not too challenging. It can get challenging, but it's not always too challenging. And just the flow of the game kind of eases me and it pushes me in that direction to collect, since the main objective of the games are to collect everything. So that's why I think Spyro is better. So with that being said, I just want to say thank you, Max, for joining me in this video. I know Miles wanted to too, but you know, he didn't know as much as you, but both of you didn't know as much as I did. So like, if anything, I'm the nerd in this episode, or in this group right now.
I think this was a great first Four Swords debate. You know, I like this a lot. You know, at the end of the day, though, we're still circling around each other because we still don't really, you know, have an answer on who is better.
Well,
it's kind of funny.
Well, I think since we both haven't been really, none of us have been persuaded to giving up our position. I think we'll let the audience, I think we'll let the viewers decide and comment who they think is better, and if they want to, why they think so and so is better. You know, let them decide the final outcome. Let them be the tiebreakers.
You guys decide who wins the first Four Swords debate.
Was it Crash or was it Spyro? Let us know down in the comments below who you thought won. If you want to, give us a reasoning. You can just say Spyro, Crash, or if you want to, you can tell us why. You can, and also while you're down there, tell us your personal experiences with these characters and with these game franchises. Which one do you like more? What's your favorite game? And what got you into these games? Like, how did you get to introduce and stuff? You know, interact, share that down below. Cause we do look at the comments, so we will interact. I promise you. We always look at the comments. We will interact with you guys, and if one of us doesn't see something that we would like to interact with, I know someone in the group will tell us. Like, if I don't see something about Spyro, I know Max, Lux, or Miles will tell me about it, so I can go interact. But I can promise you guys, we will interact. Make sure to give this a like, subscribe too, guys, just so you can, and press the bell icon too, so you get notified when we do upload. We do upload a podcast on this channel every other Tuesday. We're trying to expand out more with videos like this. We might do more debates in the video in the future if you guys did like this. But we're also going to start streaming too. So, Max, anything you want to say before we go? Any socials or any messages or whatever?
Well, I'm I don't really have anything else to say other than I'm really interested in seeing what the comments are going to say about this, since we both said a lot of different things to Crash and Spyro. Yeah, I'm interested in the comments. This was a great video. Great idea, Trevor. Great idea.
Thank you. I thought I'd turn a meme into a nice video for the channel.
If they have any other suggestions of characters to debate or any other sort of games to debate, let us know in the comments down below.
Yeah,
and let us know if you want more of. I guess we're gonna call this the Four Swords debates.
The Four Swords debates. If let us know if you want more content like this. Yeah.
Well, yeah. That's it for me.
Where can they find you?
Oh yeah, Minato Max on YouTube, Minato Max on Twitter.
And as for me, guys, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, TrevorMan5. My own personal channel is TrevorMan5. You can find me on TikTok at PokeFanTrevor. And I have a song out called Sunshine. I've been promoting hell out of it on this channel. It's everywhere on Apple Music, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, wherever you can find music, it will most likely be there. It's on all the big platforms. And my artist name is Zardius, so that's Zardious. And my song is called Sunshine. So go listen to it if you guys like that song. It's a nice little love song about about the feelings of finding someone new that you're falling for. It's it's like puppy dog teenage love, full of good feelings and vibes. So if you guys like that kind of song, then go ahead and listen to it. But this is Chairman5 signing off.
This is Minato Max signing out.
And we'll see you guys later. You have a good rest of your day. Bye.